It is that time of the year again, my friends. It is the Ballon d'Or announcement of the 30-man and 30-women shortlist for this gold trophy. This, my friends, is the one from 2012. 2012 feels so long again now, but it also feels like so long ago. The trophy looks like scuffed up and everything here. I'm sure it's been through plenty of parties, those kind of things. But why do we care so much about the Ballon d'Or? Why did Messi and Ronaldo care for such a long time so much about the Ballon d'Or? Why would we and do we even really care now? Of course, the Ballon d'Or has happened since 1956. That, if you thought 2012 was a long time ago, is even longer ago. It's almost twice as long. And of course, it was started by a French news magazine, France Football. Could you more literally name something? Well, it turns out, yes, the best awards. Some of the worst use of the English language in the history of, well, yeah, it's the worst. I just think you could come up with better English, surely. If you're going to call it the best, you might as well be like, le très bien, or something like that. Something that sounds good. Just going, him, he's the best. Sounds a little bit like the way that when you walk into a playground in the beginning, when you're like, hey, who's good at football around here? When you first go to school and everyone goes, oh, he's the best. He's pretty good. Yeah. And then someone goes, yeah, I'm sort of the best. Just sounds a little childish. Well, who was the best back in 1956? Turns out the Ballon d'Or guys thought Stanley Matthews. He was the inaugural winner of it. But since then, it's been thought of as more of a continental trophy and something that very often English people, well, they don't really win. Apart from, of course, weirdly, Michael Owen in 2001. Why do we think Michael Owen won it in 2001? Well, I don't think Michael Owen was the best footballer in the world back in 2000. He was definitely up there. And boy, did Liverpool have a good season. But did they win the Champions League? No. Did they win the Premier League? No. So why did the... Because Gerard Houllier was his manager. And therefore French people just love, and as do I, love Gerard Houllier. Since then, of course, it's gone on to become the Messi versus Ronaldo award, of course, on the day when the awards get announced, or the award nominations get announced, Ronaldo is indeed asked, what about your rivalry with Messi? Well, no more. Ronaldo has not had a good enough year to be included in the 30-man shortlist for the Ballon d'Or, which isn't the first time, by the way. Of course, before he has not been on the shortlist because for quite a while now, he hasn't been at his very best. Different award. Don't get it confused. It's one and the other. But we're going to work out why people would still care about this 30-man shortlist. There's a women's list as well. That was just part of the graphic, and I'm not going to crop it out. You're sexist. If you want my 2 cents on that, you can go over to my women's football channel. There are plenty of people who cover the women's game really well. I'm not going to pretend that I could, or do. Of course, Messi has had quite the year, and we kind of weirdly forget that Messi has won the World Cup within the last year. Like, it was such a huge event. It was such a thing, such a weird time of the year as well. Like, for me, of course, it was a very unusual time. But for everyone, having a World Cup during winter in this part of the world, unusual. But of course, there are iconic moments from that. There are iconic photographs from that. These were 2 of them that I like to pick out. I love the little kiss. Of course, he got that trophy for the player of the tournament as well. Oh, was that player of the tournament? Was that Golden Boot? I think it was player of the tournament, right? Someone else. Messi, of course, right there, holding his World Cup. And that is the monumental element of this, right? And here's the annoying bit. They don't go, you got the best stats. You made the most money for Apple TV over the last year. They just go, give us this. Other guys who are notably mentioned, Haaland. Haaland scored a whole boatload of goals for City, but also became a better player in that time. This guy, who may be one of the best players on the planet in current form, in his position, probably won't win the Ballon d'Or. Of course, 3 teams that are in there. I don't know why I put the Arsenal badge in there, but I feel like because there's an English audience, and maybe that's why I should put Onana in there, but yeah. Of course, City deserve a mention. For me, Napoli definitely deserve a mention. I feel like when people get onto this award, they start going, well, who individually had a better year? Was it this guy over here? Was it that guy over there? I don't know. And they start to get into these terrible, boring conversations of who should win what, right? This should be an exercise in just appreciating football, because when I scroll over here and I zoom out slightly, look at that. Look at that for a list of players, right? Now I could list them all individually by name, but Do I need to? Probably not, because they've already listed them over here, but you still get what I'm saying. Like, there are some really good names in there. And when I say that, I mean just fun names. Kolo Muani is a good name. Benzema is a good name. Alvarez is a good name. Bellingham, fun name. If you knew a kid called Jude Bellingham at school, you wouldn't have gone, could he be the best footballer on the planet one day? Probably not. Anyway, which of these guys deserves it? There are some people in here who are maybe honorable mentions, maybe similar to the Oscars. They should make like more awards because it does feel a little limited. They also have a goalkeeper award as well. A couple of people from the Premier League were nominated in that. Weirdly, no Alisson, despite Alisson probably having one of the best European seasons of any goalkeeper, at least in terms of like shot percentage for a top side, all those kind of things. Not in there. Just one of his other colleagues is this guy, not for goalkeeper. But not Alisson. Read of that what you will. Take from that what you will. Alvarez, of course, maybe Alvarez deserves to be in there. He's more in there probably because of his World Cup contribution than he is for his Man City contribution, but he should still be there for his Man City contribution. He's a fantastic player. Is he going to win it? No, but he is probably one of the better players on the planet right now. But one of the 30? That's maybe why this award isn't reflective of the whole year. It's kind of big moments, but maybe that's what they value, right? Like, what do they actually value in this? Do they just value they had a big moment? They did it when it was crunch time, and it can't always be crunch time. Sometimes you have to have the monotony, the build-up towards the crunch time, the hard work that goes into getting to crunch time isn't, by definition, not crunch time. Barella, fantastic player, got his team to the Champions League final, scored some really special goals last season. Someone who was massively hot on the European transfer list. Someone who maybe is, again, just in that Alvarez. I think he's above the Alvarez level, but below the like Haaland chat level, right? This guy was good for Dortmund. Dortmund didn't win the league. Dortmund didn't progress far in the Champions League. Probably not going to win it for that exact reason, actually. But now he's looking good. In future years, mark my words, this guy is going to win one. Because if Michael Owen can win one, so can Jude Bellingham. This guy, now gone off to Saudi Arabia, had a pretty okay season last. I mean, when I say pretty okay, I mean by his own standards, pretty okay season. But maybe just the fact that maybe he slightly overstayed by like a season and then left to a league where you're not going to have as much Western prominence probably takes away from that. You never know with the French, if you know what I mean, what they feel about the Saudis. Do you know what I'm saying? Oh, he went to the Saudi League. Okay, you can still be on the list, but we are a little racist and maybe Islamophobic sometimes. Maybe these guys aren't. Just saying, some French people are. When I say some, anyway. Bono, one of my favourite bands of all time, but also a great goalkeeper. Got his team where they needed to go, did some special things in that period. Thogden, good friends with him. Maybe the reason, if you're friends with Thogden, should you win a Ballon d'Or? Do you know what I'm saying? Maybe. Maybe. Thogden's a good guy. KDB, brilliant player, played his team to the Champions League final, arguably one of those people who is not in the conversation, but should be. Of course, one of the guys who backs him up, though. Diaz, fantastic player. Probably unspoken about. Weirdly, if you're going to put Diaz in there, where, my friends, is John Stones? Where's John Stones? What? You could have arguably put any of the starting 11 in here for Man City, but John Stones not being in there is a crime against football from last season. And I know that's hips to tape, but you sort of get where I'm going with that, right? Griezmann, arguably not going to win it because he's just not on it right now, but a great player, weirdly always in the list. Should we Sharpie him in? Yeah, let's Sharpie him in. Gundogan, of course, fantastic player as well, had a great season for City, arguably a leader. Do they care about leadership for the Ballon d'Or? Possibly by example, but not by we were going to give this guy a Ballon d'Or. Same for Guardiola. Obviously, Guardiola's obviously not a Man City player. Had a good season, didn't play for someone prominent enough in order to win it. Then this guy comes in. Can you win a Ballon d'Or for scoring goals? Could you make an argument for the fact that some people go, well, Ronaldo won it because Ronaldo had that season and all those seasons where he scored a whole load of goals. He was more than just a striker. He was an icon during that time. And maybe Haaland is becoming an icon, but he's not Ronaldo level in terms of like footballing ability, like just technical ability, right? Like he has great technical ability in the position that he's in, and there's no side eye in that. But he's not Ronaldo or Messi. And being blessed by Pep Guardiola maybe doesn't give you the right to win a Ballon d'Or. But should he be in the conversation for just technical, like for those moments when you strike the ball, for the moment when you kind of hunt it down? Maybe it's just he's a little bit too scrappy. Maybe it's just that Man City team did do some great stuff, but there are other players in that team that feel more like the vitality of the side. Having said that, came into the Premier League, smashed it pretty much for the whole season, silenced most of the critics. Harry Kane will not win the Ballon d'Or. Played for Tottenham last year, a pretty average Tottenham side. Played for England. Didn't get to the final. Did they? No. So you get where I'm going with this. Now plays for Munich, arguably probably more prominent in Europe due to playing for Munich. Yeah, I thought I said Dortmund. Good player, not going to win it. Could there have been another name in there that wasn't Harry Kane? Probably. The guy just below him, yep, Kolo Muani. I love this kid. Fantastic player. If you're going to play in any league, again, they don't really appreciate the Bundesliga, but they do appreciate international football. Is there probably another youth player that maybe could have or did do better than him last season? He ripped it up, I'd say, for them. Frankfurt are a fun team, right? But like, could you have put Martinelli in there? Could you have put someone else ahead of him? Surely there was someone who had a better season than him, but he's in France. Maybe slightly biased. Now, this is where it comes down to it for me. These guys are the key. Kvaratskhelia, a fantastic player. I saw him live last season. It sucks you in. You don't know where his feet are going to go. It feels like a magician, genuinely, when you watch it. You think the ball shouldn't be with him. It is with him. I feel like Napoli are slept on in terms of champions. What happened in that city was incredible. I have a video coming out later in this week about Napoli. What an incredible place. What an incredible team. They deserve more. Will they win it? Will any of them win it? Probably not. Do you know why? Team system. They're seen as more of a team thing. Arguably, if a manager could have won Manager of the Year, maybe his manager deserves it. But he's now managing the international side. This guy won't win it this year. Weirdly, doing that. Don't do that. Yeah, don't do that, all right? Do that. Don't do that, all right? I don't even want to do it. Don't do that, all right? It's offensive. It's an offensive thing to do. Anyway, this guy ain't gonna win it. He was good, and they won the league with him, but he wasn't good enough at the top level, at the very top level in the Champions League throughout. They didn't make it far at all. Do you know why? Because they didn't make it far. Because guess what? They were focusing on the league. This guy won something for his team, won something for his country. Big moment, not prominent enough. Also, the French are classy people. They won't want him to win it. They won't like this. They won't like the little, this isn't Jersey Dudek. This was gamesmanship on another level. French don't appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Then we come down to this guy, favorite for it all, World Cup winner, captain. It's like one of those lifetime Oscar things where they go, you made Jurassic Park and you made E.T., but we're going to give it to you for Indiana Jones. Oh, Indiana Jones probably did deserve an Oscar. But you get my point, that we're going to give it to you for an obscure side thing. Winning the World Cup's not an obscure side thing, but you get my point, like he did a lot of other things. And also, going to MLS, kind of a boss move, right? Anyway, Martinez, fantastic player for Inter last season. Probably won't win it. Was very, very prominent. I loved his performances. I love his hair. I love what he does. I love what he represents. As long as he doesn't represent anything terrible. But what he represents on the field, love it. Captain, respect, legend. Kylian Mbappe will not win it. Do you know why? Just didn't do it, did he? I mean, he was great in that World Cup final. And arguably, if it had gone the other way, he maybe would be in to win it. But this whole PSG thing is hanging over him. People don't like the PSG thing. Do you get what I'm saying? So he won't win it for almost that exact reason. He could be second. He could be third. He's not going to win it. What a final. I think we forget what a good final that was from him and Messi and others, arguably. And also, there's just a bit of a haze. You don't want him to be the face of it right now because things are just about to get ugly there. There's way more marketing you can do around Messi. And if you want to take the Ballon d'Or over to the States, which they probably will love to talk about, if Messi wins it, it's another big marketing campaign for them. Spreads things further. Kylian Mbappe ain't doing that right now. No one's putting Kylian Mbappe in things. Modric, very much deserved to be on the list. Fantastic player. At the end of his powers now, probably in there because they have to have a quota of Real Madrid players. But great player. I mean, he was exceptional last season in the Champions League, but ultimately got beaten out. Not beaten off, beaten out. Could you argue there's someone else to go in there ahead of him? Probably so. Musiala, probably could argue there's someone else to go in there ahead of him, but he did win the league. Was part of that comeback. Loves doing the thing, kind of like that. Munich or Musiala, do we know? We'll never know. Great player. Did he deserve it? Probably not. Kim Min-jae. Kim. That's what they shout at Naples. No, not going to win it, but great defender. I had a photo of him initially looking miserable, having signed for Munich. When you know you're going to go from Naples to Munich, good God. The weather ain't the same. And also, I mean, maybe now in Munich, they're going to have lots of lovely Korean tourists because that's exactly what Naples got, which I love. Odegaard, captain for his side, took his team very close, but arguably close isn't good enough if you're up against someone who's just won the World Cup. Great stats. You can dig in a little bit deeper. This isn't a stats thing. This is a vibes thing. We're not winning it. Oh, no. Got to the Champions League final. Did some special things. This is arguably why I think that, if Onana's in there, I think Alisson should probably be in there too. Maybe if Liverpool had got top 4. Great goalkeeper. Probably still the best goalkeeper on the planet. Not Onana, Alisson. Onana revolutionising the goalkeeper position. Revolutionising the passing area. Not revolutionising saves. Osimhen, one of the most graceful big men I have ever seen in my whole life. One of the fastest big men I have ever seen in my whole life. This guy, I understand why he stayed in Naples, but I think if he'd gone somewhere else, we'd be speaking about him developing in such a fashion. It will be insane. I think he leaves this season or next, though I'll be sad for the Naples fans to lose him. I think they lose him. He's not going to win it, but he was fantastic and at the centre of a lot of what they did. But arguably, Kvara or others are just as important, although he is a hero. Talk to me about it. What you saying? Can this guy win it? Can Rodri do it? I don't think so. But fantastic player. Did something special at the end of a campaign. Just saying. Do you know what I mean? Arguably is City's, if not one of City's most important players. If he's in it, John Stones should be in it. However, John Stones was so good alongside someone else. Who was it? Yeah, it's implied. Saka deserves something. Is he going to win it? No. Should he win it? No. Was he very good? Did he get England's best young player again? Yes. Is he a good player? Absolutely. Was he on absolute white-hot form last season? Relatively. I still think he can get like hot. To the point where you're like, oh, this is not do it. You get what I'm saying, though? Very key for Arsenal. Pretty much one of their, I think, if not their first name on the team sheet after Odegaard and possibly Saliba and Gabriel. He's just too key for them. He's worth 100 million minimum. Very key player. Very fun to watch. Won't win it because didn't win anything. It's that simple. There are other players who won something in that list. Mo Salah. A tribute to Mo Salah last season. Still stuck with Liverpool. Maybe he won't stick with Liverpool when this video comes out, but still stuck with Liverpool, doing something special. What next? Bernardo Silva. So key. Could feel like a late Oscar. What is it? Love the photo, by the way. This in focus. Face out of focus. A weirdly cropped picture. Shouldn't have cropped it that much. I didn't. And then finally, this guy. Does Vinicius Jr. deserve to win a Ballon d'Or for last season? No, absolutely not. But he was a fantastic player. Again, I think they put him in there because, he plays for Real Madrid, plays under Carlo Ancelotti. Didn't win much. What did you win last year? Yeah. Still good. Still marketed the game brilliantly. Still, a massive face. But if you're going between him and him, in terms of influential goal-scoring wingers, am I wrong in saying you probably go with him last season? I get he wasn't competing on multiple fronts than Vinicius was, and Vinicius probably has an incredible goal-scoring record. Neither of them won the league. Neither of them won the Champions League. I'm just saying, do you know what I mean? It just makes, you know, Vinicius is fantastic, and he probably will be one of the top 3 in the next couple of years. My top 3 in the next couple of years, Vinicius, Bellingham. I think Haaland goes up a level, but I think he's going to struggle to get in that top 3 just purely because of how he's reduced and maybe a lack of pretty technical ability. This guy, if he goes somewhere else, obviously this guy. Maybe that guy is an outside shout. If Munich do something special, they could do something special considering the harmony in the team right now. Let's see. Come next year, maybe it's this guy. I mean, that would be insane, but maybe it's this guy. Anyway, it's really nice to chat to you guys. Let me know who you think in the comments below. Who is that guy? Who is the person who takes them, you know, stratospheric? Are any of these people stratospheric? What look at that for a list of people, right? Look at that for a list of influential, talented, incredible, prominent players. Things about to change there, though. It's about to get even bigger. Weird to see Ronaldo left off. Great to see Messi involved. I think this guy wins it overall. This guy's going to win it all this year. He's going to win the MLS Cup. He's going to win other things. He's going to win the league. 9-0 in that. Anyway, it's good to chat to you guys. If he wins this because of his MLS move, I'll be incredibly surprised because that trophy he's holding is much bigger than the MLS. But kind of feels like also the last opportunity. This is the thing. It feels like Messi's last opportunity to win it. He's not going to be able to do it again because we don't have a big tournament this year for Messi to win in terms of like global. And on top of that, he's gone to MLS. He's done everything he can. This is his tribute, his out. Here it comes. Really enjoyed chatting to you guys. Much love. See you in a while.